What's up, DigiDestin? Since we're getting closer to BT17, I figured we'll talk about my top 10 picks for best cards, or really just good general cards in BT17. So without further ado, let's dive in the video and talk about it. So first off, my pick has to go for our number 10, the Shine Greymon Burst Mode Ace. It's actually a quite useful and versatile card, especially because you may play a Tamer card from your hand without paying its cost. Then, if it's your turn, one of your opponent's Digimon gets minus 5,000 DP for each Tamer in your hand. Right now, it doesn't seem like it has a lot of uses, but to be honest with you, it might long-term could see some more maximum play. Right now, you have to build Shine Greymon to kind of focus a little bit on the Burst Mode Ace, but it's not terrible. I mean, when attacking by spending up to 2 of your yellow Tamers, for every Tamer this effect suspended, this Digimon gets security attack 1. Not bad, actually. Being able to punch through, you know, this one doesn't also do the whole shenanigans of bouncing the Tamer to burst Digievolution. So, but we just get blessed to Digievolution. The Ace is pretty solid, just being able to, if you are playing a Tamer-centric deck and you can get into a level 7 very comfortably, this is going to be one of your picks. I think being able to play the Tamers and just go ham on your opponent is always good. Then, Digimon Ace. So the fact that this thing is focused around Greymon and Garurumon, it does have a deck centered around it. I think the deck is pretty solid enough, especially because of the ability of Blast DNA Digivolve a War Greymon plus Metal Garurumon, only needing 1 in your hand to do the other, as long as you have the other piece in hand. You know, 1 on the field, 1 in hand, you can just DNA burst Digievolution and call it a day. Having Raid and Blocker are really powerful skills, especially on a 15,000 DP base. We are starting to prove left and right that if you can get high enough on all turns, your opponent has a bad time outing it. So Digimon is one of those classifications that is higher in DP thresholds, and if they're not using option removal, which every deck is kind of subsiding from, this is starting to prove that it's really a powerhouse threshold. So it has on play when Digivolving. If DNA, choose one of your opponent's Digimon, return that Digimon and all their Digimon with the same level to the bottom of the deck, then delete one of their Digimon. Not bad. I think it has a lot of potential. Then Hacker's Pride. So let's be honest here, being able to reveal the top 3 cards of your deck, add 1 card with Pulsemon in its text from your hand, and then return the rest of the bottom deck, and then place this in the battle area for a delay that placing the top card of your level 4 or higher Digimon with Pulsemon in its text on the top card of your security stack, gain 2. This creates combos, especially for Pulsemon decks. And to be honest with you, being able to go from Pulsemon down to something else is always useful. What do I mean by that? Well, like Takamazuchi, you want to DNA Digivolve from the trash so you can use this effect, place it at the top. You now you lowered yourself down, and then basically you could hard play just to reset everything after you swing in and do some extra damage, and then your opponent's just going to have a bad time, especially as long as you can trash the security that you place it on top. Then your opponent's just staring at you pretty and trying to figure out, what's my next move here? Just really solid, especially being able to gain 2 memory for the trade-off. Then we have Agumon. Same thing with Agumon and the Lobomon of the set. The fact that this card basically can Digivolve on top of a Tamer, same with the counterpart, and being able to do that now leads into more combos and plays, especially with the Aguni when Digivolving, if you're burning Greymon as his Digievolutions, or, you know, Kendo Garurumon, I think it is. I mean, if either one is in that for its counterpart, you gain the ability to warp into its next stage for a 3 cost. Which, again, the Burning Greymon and the Kendo Garuru, I think it's Kendo? Yeah. Kendo Garurumon will allow you to do this because they have when attacking skills that lets you Digivolve up 1. Well, Digivolve into a required piece. So what you'll do is you'll swing in, Digivolve into the corresponding for 1 cost, which will reduce it to 0. And then, boom, you just warp into Burning Gray. I mean, Ancient Greymon or, you know, Ancient Garurumon, and then deal some major damage, especially since this play would basically cost you 3 memory that turn. And since you play a higher tamer count, this is what happens. Then we have Dex Darugumon here. So the whole Dex line is just really good. The fact that this has this ability, all turns when one of your Digimon with X name would be deleted, by digivolving that into this card from trash without paying its cost, prevent that deletion. They all have that as long as you're on the corresponding piece, and then it gives a protection skill, which from one-time deletion is really powerful at the end of the day. Your opponent has a bad time sometimes outing this. So when digivolving, digivolve 3 of your opponent's Digimon. Then if you have Darugumon in its Digivolutions, or if digivolving from trash, delete all your opponent's Digimon with the lowest level. Being able to digivolve and then clear boards is nasty, especially if you're facing against Ukumon decks. Since they're level 3s, boom, you can just clear it out. Then you have all turns when another Digimon is deleted, you may unsuspend this Digimon. Not a bad trade-off. Dex Darugumon is probably one of my favorite decks going into this format. Then we have Return to the Ancestors. This card is a basically living, walking trap card. Being able to, one of your Digimon may digivolve into a level 5 or higher with a card with free traits in your hand with its Digivolution cost reduced by 4, then place this in the battle area. Really useful. Being able to digivolve up for basically 2, especially when this deck can brick to itself, really scary. And especially being all turns when one of your Digimon with free traits would be deleted other than by one of your effects delay. By digivolving that Digimon into a card with Imperial Dramon in its name in your hand without paying its cost, prevent its deletion. But with that in mind, just keeping this going, this card is just scary as well. Just Return the Ancestors just answers what Imperial Dramon's biggest issue was, and that was its protection had none. I mean, you have partition, but if you got a bad stack, you're not going to be able to partition properly, so you lose out on that. So this at least gives you another avenue for protection. Then we have Gallantmon Crimson Mode Ace. This card has been seeping into a lot of decks, actually, just because of how powerful it is. Being an on-play when you only choose any number of your opponent's Digimon whose DP total adds up to 15,000 DP or less. Being able to board control is always good, and then the fact that when attacking for every 10 cards in both players, trash the top card of your opponent's security stack. If you're going to play the game answer response, the trash is going to get big, and then Crimson Mode kind of just clears it up. Zekon uses this, the Gallantmon deck uses it, and even Galaxy is using it as well. So that proves that its multiple functionality is very personal. Then you have Fenri, Luga, Takamazuchi here. This card is very powerful. I mentioned this early in the Pulsemon section, but when one of your level 6 Digimon with Pulsemon in its name in its text is played, 2 of your Digimon may DNA digivolve into this card in your trash. So basically, if you just Mega Slam down, you can instantly Jogress, because this thing's going to be when one of your opponent's Digimon gets minus 6,000 DP for the turn. If you DNA Digivolve, set your opponent to 3. If you have a Tamer in its Digievolutions, gain 1 memory, recovery 1. Card's scary. Card's ridiculous. Card does what it wants. And then when attacking by trashing the top card of your security stack, trash the top card of your opponent's security stack. So you get free damage and apply pressure. So Fenri Luga has a lot going on for it. And I'm not surprised if this deck actually does some crazy shenanigans. Then we have definitely Ancient Garurumon itself. So on play, when Digivolving, return one of your opponent's Digimon with the lowest level to hand, and then when effect adds a card to yours or your opponent's hand, your opponent adds the top card of the security stack to hand. On deletion, you may return 1 Tamer card and 1 Digimon with hybrid and traits from the trash to your hand. Then if you played 1 Tamer from your hand without paying its costs, you have Lobo and Kendo Garuru. It just becomes very cheap. This thing is just scary. It's basically what I would classify one of the best super rares of the set, and is probably going to be selling the set and probably hitting 11s, if not close to 12s. But this card probably hits 16 without batting an eye, but this is Paladin Mode Ace. This card is super splashable. There is no real big restrictions going on to this thing. Even if you had to hard play this against 7 Great Demon Lords, this card just tanks and just sets the max so much. But by trashing all Digivolution cards of all your opponent's Digimon, then return all cards from yours or your opponent's trash to the bottom of the deck. In effect, return a white level 7, gain 3 memory. Really useful, especially if you have plenty of ways of getting white Digimon into your trash. You might not really be caring very often, especially since this is the Blast Digivolution. But when attacking, return one of your opponent's Digimon with no Digivolution cards to the bottom of the deck, unsuspended Digimon. Allows you to multi-attack. It's a big chungus. It's very scary to deal with. The card is basically a very powerful answer threat and super splashable. We have another Death X on our hands, but as a super rare. But all in all, though, guys, I really think this list is pretty solid. What do you guys think? Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Stay safe, stay healthy, and I'll catch you next one. Peace.